Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Saturdays with Shaun. And today we're talking about conditioned response. Yes, we can have conditioned response. How so? Well, centuries ago, there was a scientist named Pavlov. And what he did was he had an experiment, or he conducted an experiment where he used dogs. And he did several, but this particular one that he used for naming conditioned classical conditioning was from using some dogs. Every time he got ready to feed them, he would ring the bell and the dogs would salivate. And he decided to switch up and change it and see what the response would be. And so what he would do is he would ring the bell at random times of the day and see how the dogs would respond. And what happened is that the dogs, every time he would ring the bell, they would continue to salivate. Even though they did not see food, they didn't smell food, they had an expectancy that there was some food coming. And what that taught us is that you can be trained to think a certain way or feel a certain way based on the repetitiveness of that action or behavior. And likewise, as human beings, if we are brought up in such a way, if we are in an environment and we are taught to act a certain way and think a certain way and view the world from a certain perspective, then that is called classical conditioning. Classical conditioning is what makes it hard for people to sometimes pivot and their thinking and consider that perhaps their perspective is incorrect, or maybe there's another way to look at things. Oftentimes when I'm talking to people and something just does not come out right, or basically if it's unhealthy for them, I would use the phrase, allow me to introduce this to you. And basically it is saying, what I'm saying is that allow yourself to look at things from a different perspective. Allow yourself to look from a different point of view, or to see things in a different way. And most of the time, the reason why people have misunderstanding is for that very reason. Maybe you may come from a place where maybe your mother is optimistic all the time, and so you see the glass is half full. And maybe that person, their family was pessimistic and they saw the glass half empty. And maybe you're that's a realistic person that says, well, either way, half full or half empty, this is all we have. We have to do with this. None of those views or perspectives are necessarily wrong. It just depends on the situation and the circumstance. But the bottom line is that sometimes people fail to look at things from a different point of view and a different perspective. And that lies, that right there is the problem itself. And that's where the misunderstanding comes in. And that's where the low tolerance comes in. And that's where discrimination comes in, and stereotyping and misinformation. And it's the way we take in the information, the way we see the information, and the way we break down the information. All of those have a component. All of those have something to do with the way we maneuver and navigate in this life and through life. And the effectiveness, how effective we are in communicating with people who are not like us or who don't think like us. I have to say that in studying and learning psychology, you cannot help but to have an open mindset. You can't help but do that. And what I've studied is that I've learned how to research and analyze. So when you do that, you take one topic and you break it down into so many different angles, into various situations, solutions, and problems and methods, and it has to be substantiated. And so I can't help but to just think that way. But I have to tell you, it's not that I didn't think that way before. Once I was introduced to the paradigm shift, I never looked at things the same ever again. It's never a one-way type of situation. It never is. And when people say there's three sides, there's one side, the other side, and there's the truth, that's not necessarily true, because sometimes you can introduce some other fact and it could change someone's ideas, thought, or perspective. It is true if they are a reasonable person. Then there's some people that are just stubborn and they're going to believe what they believe no matter what, no matter how much truth you show them. They are still going to keep their stance, even if they know inside that what you are saying and showing them is true, just for the sake of saving face. Now, true scholars and educators and learners don't care about saving face. The most important thing is that you learn more, you know more. It is about having the knowledge and the intellect. And, as they say, knowledge is power. So, what have you been conditioned to do? And is it healthy for you? And does it still work? Because some things that we are conditioned to do don't work anymore. But some things we're conditioned to do work just fine. Some things that our parents taught us when we were young, they still work. Like your parents, if they taught you to make your bed up in the morning, then when you come home, your bed is made. Or if they taught you to taught you to do your laundry, fold it up. But the thought process, how they took in and digested information, that is a learned behavior, and you're conditioned because you're around it. If you, people who continue to do things without accountability, they won't stop because they're conditioned to know, believe, and to think that no matter what they do, there will not be a consequence. And so sometimes they'll push it and just go for broke. What would be their stimulation? What would be the thing? What would make them stop? What would be their incentive? What is their payoff? They don't have one. So, conditioning, classical conditioning, we all have it in different ways, shape, forms, or fashion. All of us have been conditioned in some form of our life. So I challenge you to just take time to take inventory and see what is it that you have been classically conditioned to do or to think or to behave. And once you do that, then take it a step further and evaluate. Is it healthy? Is it helping? Is it good for you? If the answer is no to any of those, if it's not healthy, if it's not helpful, if it's not good for you, then might I suggest that you take some time to recondition yourself. Because with classical conditioning, you can change it. It doesn't have to be. Thank you so much. It doesn't have to be forever. Thank you so much for listening to Saturdays with Shaun. I love you for listening. I appreciate your support. Cyber kisses and virtual hugs. Go out there and make it a great day. Have a fantastic day. Enjoy your day. And then, if you can, deposit some goodness and some greatness into someone else. Do so. Because remember, God doesn't have arms on this earth, so he can't hug people. So he uses us. He uses our arms to hug people. Take time out to give someone your love. If you can't do it by touching them, show them, give it to them, deposit it with your words. Have a great day.